Good evening. My name is IC. Welcome to 21 Questions. I am your host. I am a founder of the Sitdown UK. If you've never ever watched 21 Questions, well, this is what we do every Thursday, where we get a guest, unpack their story, and find out what it is that makes them tick, what has taken them from the highs to the lows, and everything in between. And if you're not following the Sitdown, please do so right now. Follow. Press that follow button if you want to check out more stuff about what we're doing. Click on the link in our bio. You can check out the website and sign up. Okay, we do events. Big up to everyone that came up to our first event of 2022 last Tuesday. We had the sit down with Shola Amma. If you want to sign up and get tickets before everyone else before the next show, all right. If you want to get tickets before everyone else for the next show, go onto our website, click on the bio, and you can sign up there for free. And you'll get your tickets 30 minutes before everybody else. All right. Let's see who we have in the building. Could you, in the comment section, if you're joining us today, I would love you to say where you are from. I would love to know where you are from. Country, city. If you're from London, South London, West London, North London, East London, let me know. All right. Let's get some music here. Big up. This evening we have an amazing conversation with Jamelia. She's already in the building. It's so great to have you with us. Let's get some mood music in a bit. Again, big up to everyone that came out last Tuesday. We had an amazing time with Shola Amma, and it was also her birthday recently. Big up to all of you that came out. It was a hard day because obviously London had their amazing strike, TfL strike, but you guys came out. And we had an amazing time, so thank you. But without further ado, we're going to head over to Jamelia right about now. Let me click on this. Who we got in the building? Derek, how you doing, man?
Hi, am I here?
Hello.
Hi.
How are you? Oh my gosh,
I'm
it's
good,
crazy.
thanks. How are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. The sound's gone a bit funny.
It's gone lower.
But if you can hear me fine, then hopefully we're good. I'm just going to turn up my AirPods. There we go.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good.
This is mad. You know why? Because we've met before.
I hate when that happens. Cause I'm like, now I'm gonna have to do that awkward thing of like, okay.
We met in...
When? Where?
It was not too long ago. It was about when I was in year 8. And,
Okay.
and you came to our school and you performed Money.
Oh my gosh. It's not the one where they threw the brick through the window, is it?
No.
No. Okay. Because that's the only school that I really remember in London. Anyway, I performed at Birmingham schools, but yeah, there was a school in London, and some of the kids were a bit mad because they weren't allowed to watch. But I hope it was, if it wasn't that one, then you got the show. So I
got the right show, yeah. So this is a full cycle for me. So thank you for agreeing to do this, man. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Well, this is how it goes. You have 21 questions or more.
Yes.
You have one pass card.
Oh, okay.
So if there's a question...
It's like that.
That's like that. So if there's a question that you don't want to answer, you can use your pass card.
Yeah.
But I will say, in the last 75 episodes we've had, again, we've only had one person use that card.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So
no pressure.
No pressure.
Yeah. I can't see me passing anyway. I'm an open book. And I think it's helpful when people are honest and authentic, and so yeah.
100%.
Famous last words.
Welcome to everyone that's just joining us. This is 21 Questions with Jamelia. My name is IC, and this is the Sit Down. Make sure you follow. We also do live events. Our last live event was with Shola Amma. Had an amazing time. So if you want to come to the next event, click the link in our bio, press sign up, and you can get your tickets before everyone else. And Jamelia, I hope you're coming to the next one.
I'm just hearing about it, so yes, I would love to. If I'm invited, of course.
Oh yeah, we'll send that. We'll put it.
That's the problem. I don't get invited anywhere. I really don't get invited anywhere. But it's like when I do, I'm like, oh my gosh, okay.
Don't worry, yours will be in the post. Yours will be in the post.
Thank you.
So we're going to do a quick fire round, a couple of questions.
Cool.
You've done interviews upon interviews, so you know how this works.
Yeah.
All right, so cool. Let's go. The first one, a celebrity you met that left you starstruck.
This is gonna be a bit mad. So I've met everyone, right? I've met Nelson Mandela, I've met Beyonce, Justin Timberlake, Usher. But the one for me that proper left me speechless was I don't know what his actual name is, but the guy who plays Max Branning in EastEnders, and I was just like, no way.
That you've met Beyonce, Usher, and that left you starstruck.
And I was fine. And it was that. I don't even know what his real name is, but we were at like an award ceremony, and I was just like, no way, that's Max, you know. And I used to watch EastEnders at the time. I don't watch it now, but yeah. So.
Jeez. All right. Favorite Coldplay song?
I'm a massive Coldplay fan, you know. This is supposed to be quick fire, you know. Sorry. I'm just gonna go with Fix You. Fix You. I feel like that.
Fix You. How does that go?
Yeah. I will try to fix you.
Come on.
That was awful. There's no
I was just trying to get an a cappella from Jamelia. That's what I'm trying to get. What are you very geeky about, very nerdy about?
So I'm really into computers and gadgets. So anything like I've had every single Apple product ever made, and I know how to fix it. I know how to make it work. I'm very, very geeky about computers. I actually went to a technical school. So from 11 to 16, I went to a school that you had to take an exam for, and it was for technically minded children. The thousands applied, but I was one of 120 that got in. So I'm a proper geek.
I would never have thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Love it.
And this is what I end up doing. So yeah.
What's the wildest rumor that you've heard about yourself?
There's been some mad ones, but I remember. So it was more the one that I was engaged to Usher, and the problem with it was that I was actually meant to go on a date with him, and that messed up actually going on a date.
What?
But but we ended up almost going on a date, and then I ended up not liking him. But that's a whole other story. And you didn't ask that question, so.
Jamelia, you have stories. Oh my gosh,
days.
You have. I love it. Tell me a song that you wish you wrote.
Ooh, Zion by Lauryn Hill.
Okay.
It's for me. I don't know if it's maybe because of the time. Like I ended up pregnant probably about a year after it was released. So I don't know if it's because it just hit different at that time. Mm-hmm. But I just thought it so perfectly encompassed how I felt about, having a pregnancy whilst being, a part of the music industry. It was, such a beautiful song. To this day, it kind of gets me here.
Oh, come on. Finish this sentence. I feel most confident when
I'm surrounded by family or just people that I love. Yeah.
Love that. That's nice.
Yeah.
When you look in your children's eyes, what do you see?
I see myself, and it scares me because I'm filled with like the enormity of my responsibility as a parent, and there's so many moments where I think, when I'm talking to my children, and I think to myself, what would you have needed to hear when you were this age, or when you were in this situation? So I take that responsibility really seriously.
Cheers. If you could ask God one question, what would you ask?
I think the question that like perplexes me a lot of the time is like, I just don't understand the why suffering is necessary. I understand, having to have an equilibrium and and balance, but I just don't understand why some people suffer and some
More than
people
others.
get to live not rent free, but if you know what I mean, kind of like metaphorically, that doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah. Love that. What is your greatest joy outside your children and your husband?
I think it's like self-discovery. I feel like I turned 40 over a year ago now, and I remember kind of coming up to that age thinking like, I'm not done, I'm not done. But when you're like 17, 18, you feel like 40 is like a big age, and it is, but I kind of feel like I'm still learning, I'm still growing, I'm still finding out new things, and I'm still, I still feel like a child in that respect, that, I've got so much to learn and so much to experience, and I'm here for all of it.
Come on, we're here for it too. There was a great question here by Calgary Spidey. If you could meet one person, alive or deceased, who would it be?
I'm sorry, I'm thinking of this because it's like I don't know whether to be deep or kind of surface level. My surface level answer is Mary J. Blige, but my deep answer is like just any of my ancestors, any of my ancestors from Africa.
Wow. Because
being Jamaican, I'm never gonna know exactly where I'm from, who I am, and for me that I kind of feel like to know would be beautiful. Even though I feel like I'm guided by my ancestors. I feel them, but I still don't. I would love to know the facts. You know what I mean? So yeah.
One thing that makes you sad.
Sad.
In this world.
To see anyone enduring any kind of pain that I can't help with, I kind of feel, that really makes me sad, because I don't know. Yeah. I think anyone else's sadness makes me sad. Yeah.
Are you quite an empath?
Way too much of one, to be honest. I'm a deeply empathetic, and I feel like I feel people, and so that's why I don't have many friends. I don't have I'm not close with loads of family members, because I feel like my energy, you can have, like, if I love you, you have me. Wow. And you have my energy, and it's kind of like as I've gotten older, it's like you have to be worth that energy. You have to be worth me expending that, and because when I love you, I love hard. Yeah.
Someone said, I'm sad because I haven't had a new album in forever. Is there an album coming?
The thing is with me, right? And I think this is true of like most creatives. There's always something going. There's always, even today, I was in my office and I was writing music and stuff like that. But I can't give you. I'm not working for anyone. Like I'm not working to anyone else's clock. And to me, that's the perfect life. But at the same time, it means I don't have a deadline. I don't have it's just
that pressure.
I'd love to. I'd love to. I love writing and I love music and I love performing. I think what I don't like is the other things that come with being a musician, a Black British musician. Yeah.
All right, last thing. What is one thing we would never, ever know about you? And I want you to bless the sit down with something you've never told anyone, but we would never ever think.
No, in fact, no. I was gonna say no.
You're picking ones now.
Yeah, because it's like I kind of feel like you might know that from it. Like my temper is mad.
What?
It is mad. But I have lost my temper honestly maybe 3 times in my life. and it's and every time it's been to do with my children. Like, yeah, how I never ended up in the papers, I don't know. Yeah, I think, and I think that's something that, you know, again, I, I understand the responsibility I have as a, you know, a Black British person in the public eye. So I can't afford for my temper and my fire to get out. And I think that's where I channel my creativity, you know, especially like when I'm angry, especially when it's about something that might be, you know, a social issue. That's why I write. That's why I'll write. You know, I've written some blogs before, and you know, I think it's better for me to get it out creatively.
Yeah.
Because again, I take my role as a role model, and as, you know, just, yeah, I take that responsibility seriously. But yeah, 1 and 2 times, yeah, it's been a bit more.
All right, that was your quick fire done.
Okay.
Guys, let's give a round of applause in the comment section.
Oh.
That was light work.
Oh, bless you.
Again, big up to everyone that's joining us. This is 21 Questions with Jamelia. Follow the sit down, follow Jamelia. I'm sure you already, everyone knows Jamelia, man.
Okay.
You know what? Give me one of your fondest childhood memories, something that when you think back on, you just smile.
You know, I've got so many beautiful memories, but for me, I think it would just be like being in the front room, what we used to call it, but you like probably call it the lounge, or I don't know.
You lot, I'm
Yeah.
Jamila, I'm 39.
Okay.
I'm with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, 80s baby, it's all right.
Yeah.
I feel like that I've had so many beautiful moments in my front room with my mom and my brothers. Usually, my most beautiful memories always involve Buju, like Buju Banton, listening to him on the sound system. Like, music was a big part of our, you know, us growing up. Always reggae, raga, dancehall. But Buju Banton was definitely one of our most loved artists in the house, and we would like put on concerts and pretend we were Buju. Some of them we definitely shouldn't have been singing along to, but yeah, that's a whole other story. But yeah, that for me, you know, for me, I just think it's just simpler times, you know. Yeah,
100%.
Simpler times. Yeah.
No internet, no
yeah,
phones.
exactly. We had to entertain ourselves, and yeah, it was beautiful.
And you're the oldest sibling.
Yes, I am. I have 2 younger brothers.
And I'm the oldest as well.
Oh, okay.
What
so you
was
understand that responsibility.
Come on, I was going to say, what? Tell me about the pressures of being like the oldest and whether you still as an adult carry that kind of older weight.
I think being the oldest, definitely there's, you know, being the oldest has actually served me in my career, because being the oldest means that I have a responsibility. I need to lead by example. You know, I need to, you know, advise. I need to be guidance whenever, you know, my mom wasn't available to be that. And I took it really seriously, even as a child, you know. You know, yeah, I really did, and enjoyed it as well. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, you enjoyed it, so it wasn't really a burden for you.
No, not a burden at all. Like, I used to love looking after my brothers, love cooking, love, you know, cleaning down the house. A weirdo, I'm a proper weirdo. But yeah. And I still, to this day, things like that I love. Like, you know, they're very grounding for me.
Take you back.
Yeah.
Your mum, Paulette Davis.
Yeah.
She worked in a play centre.
Yes.
Started on the lower rungs and then got up to management. You seen that close up. What did that kind of speak to you at that young age?
I'm not sure if I was aware of it as a child, but now I know that I had a front row seat to greatness. Like, you know, to see, I remember holding my mom's hand and her asking at the local play centre if she could volunteer there.
Wow.
And I was there beside her you know, as she ascended to the manager. And you ask anyone from Birmingham in Hockley if they know my mom, they know my mom, they love my mom. And it was, I feel really fortunate to have had that, you know, as my foundation, as part of my foundation, to see that, you know, that determination, that commitment, that hard work. And it's definitely something that, you know, I hold really dear and try to emulate in my own life. And, you know, I hope that my daughters will do the same. You know, I hope they feel the same way that I felt and run with the baton and go on to do great things.
Yeah. And she was quite creative as well.
Incredibly creative. So I actually would describe her as someone who didn't get to really, like, she is. She's amazing at drawing. We've got this real, okay, so I'm going to sound like a weirdo here, right? But I believe that we've got this gene in our family, like in our little family, like that we can like watch something, or like YouTube is fantastic for our minds. I can learn how to do anything.
Same.
Like anything.
Same.
Yeah. And my mum was like that as well, but obviously without the internet. But the things that my mum would create, like she would watch, you know, those DIY shows,
right.
And then she'd do it in the house, and it was like we didn't have a man in the house, but you'd never know. Like the whole thing was set. My mum built a bar in the house. She didn't even drink.
Come on, mummy.
Like I remember her putting up like a dado rail, and I know a lot of people don't even know what that is, but like it was really, as I said, I feel like I had a front row seat to greatness, and you know, I feel really fortunate to have been brought up by my mum. Yeah, she's incredible.
Big up, mummy, man.
Yeah, man. Every time.
And as you mentioned, you know, she kind of raised you in that single parent home.
Mm-hmm.
What for you as a 40-year-old in the quiet parts of your heart? What were the effects of not having your father there? Because there was a quote that you said in I can't remember exactly the date, but you said, "I just don't speak to him at all now." This was years ago. Because I do feel he's to blame for me not knowing what to look for in a man.
Yeah.
And I thought, whoa.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that I feel like I paid the price for not having a father in my home. Regardless, I feel like I suffered as a result of it. There was so much I didn't know. So I'm going out into the world as a young woman. I don't know how to interact with men. I don't know how to not be impressed by foolishness. There was, you know, and I ended up as a vulnerable young woman. And whilst, you know, as a 41-year-old, I'm slightly uncomfortable totally blaming.
Yeah.
But at the time, and especially when I was younger and I was going through the consequences of my vulnerability, I definitely felt, you know, that he was totally to blame. I'd say over the last year, I've rekindled my relationship with my dad, which I never expected to do, but I did, because I lost my grandfather in 2020. And I just remember thinking, there is so much I don't know. And my dad's born in Spanish Town, Central Village, and I just thought, just try one last time.
Wow.
And but like this, it's really crazy.
No way.
Like, I swear, it's really crazy. And this is the first time I've ever like even spoken about it. And as I said, we've been in touch for about the last year, and it's been incredible. And I think one of the most incredible things for me has been knowing that I was looking at my dad as a child, you know, from my perspective as a child.
Yeah.
There was no way I could possibly understand his perspective as a man, a black man who, you know, was born in the 60s, you know, and going through all the things, you know, going through the riots, going through, you know, he was a Rasta, him telling me about him cutting off his locks so that he could fit into society and still being treated terribly. And you know, a lot of the stories that he's told me now, it's like, raw, kind of makes sense. You know what I mean? And it's not to excuse
it, yeah.
But I think understanding is so important. It's so important. So me now as a woman, you know, whilst I do definitely feel that, you know, I not suffered, but I definitely, I definitely was hurt. I was definitely, you know, I had a lot of healing to do, but as a healed woman, to speak to a healed man, i.e. my dad, it's been beautiful. It's been absolutely beautiful, and I've got a lovely relationship with him. And I never would have imagined it could happen. Like, you know, it's lovely. I speak to him every single day, every day.
What?
Yeah, I speak to him more than my mum.
Do you know
You
what?
know?
Yeah, I have to say it. Hats off to you, because I think as children, there's a chance that pain turns into a real stone, concrete heart, and you'll be justified, and we will justify ourselves in our mind 1,000 times
Yeah,
to
yeah.
not make that move. And ego will be our defense, will be our lawyer,
Absolutely.
and will fight for us.
Absolutely.
So how dare you put down that phone? You don't need to reach out.
Absolutely.
But you
Absolutely.
doing that has really, it's just opened up a new bridge. And with that bridge, it's just so much, you know, like you said, understanding that can flow.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really important for you to allow yourself to grow and to change, and for your mind to change. Like, I had a curiosity, and I think with my granddad dying, I was really close with my granddad. And I remember thinking, like, what if I never get, you know, the opportunity to know, you know, so much about myself? Like, what if my dad has some major keys, and he literally has, like, he really has, like, he's, you know, even things about myself that, you know, I wear my watch in a funny way. I wear my watch with the face like here, and I've always thought, like, no, I'm just weird in it. And then I was at my dad's house and I saw that he had his watch on like that. I was like, no way. Yeah. But and that's such a small thing, and you know. But as I said, like, it's been really healing for me, and I feel more complete as a person. So I'm really glad that, you know, I pushed past the hurt, and you know, and I now have understanding and clarity. You know, yeah.
Beautiful. You were born Friday the 2nd of January 1981.
Oh, no, 11. I was born on 11th. I think it was a Sunday, actually. Yeah, 11.
Oh, Sunday? Okay.
Yeah.
And you came into this world as someone who is, how can I explain it? Because of your empathy, you seem to be someone who is not afraid to speak up for what you connect with. So the things you connect with, it's hard for you to be quiet about them. I'm putting that. So I was wondering, like, does that take a toll? Does that take a toll always? Speaking up for things, the injustices that you see, the things that you like experience personally, and champion these things, because it's almost like you have to carry the weight of that on yourself. Is there ever a time you wonder, man, why does it have to bother me? Can't it bother someone else?
So I would say I've always been, you know, the defender of anything injustice going on anywhere. Like, I was the girl. If you bullied anyone and I knew about it, like, I'd become friends with whoever it is you're bullying. So it's like, bully me then, because I was kind of popular at school. But I really, you know, was against any ill treatment of anyone. Like, you know, I wasn't raised like that, and I couldn't sit back and allow that to kind of manifest itself around me, particularly. What I will say is that I feel like what has happened is that my outspokenness has come at a time where we have more platforms to speak on. Because when I was at the beginning of my career, especially, I wasn't outspoken. I wasn't, you know, whilst I would kind of fight for creative things, and, you know, and you know, I really wanted to be visible. I wanted Black girls to see me, and to know that I was like them. So those things were important to me. But whenever it was injustice, the things that I grew up in the industry seeing and kind of let slide, it's just like, I didn't feel powerful enough to talk about them. And then I think for me the turning point was was social media, was having a voice that that wasn't under control. I really can't. No, I can't explain it. So when you're a person in the public eye, if you are being paid money by these people, they kind of control you.
Yeah.
And when you're from inner city, working class background, the money that they're flinging at you're just like, yeah, okay, I'll just shut up and dance. You know what I mean?
What do you want?
Yeah, literally. But I think for me, there did come a point where it was like, this is what they mean when they say selling your soul to the devil. And I didn't want to be a part of encouraging or influencing my people, young Black girls, and and people who look like me, people who look like my daughters. It was very important to me that I didn't sell them down the river as well. And so, I had a huge change of kind of career. And for the past, I'd say 10, 15 years, I've been finding my way. And then with social media, not only do I have my own voice that belongs to me, but I also have the support. I also have people, backing me. Yeah. And that was something that wasn't there before. So I think it's really important to understand that, when you see people speaking up, black people in the public eye in particular, you have to support, you have to be vocal, because our voices as a collective are so powerful. And I've seen it happen so many times. And so whilst I might seem like this brave woman, it's only because I've been empowered by, the community that has had my back. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, there was something that when I was going through all YouTube, and and there was just things that cropped up. So things with loose women, things that you'd said, and I started to get angry.
Yeah.
Because all it was that, and you've spoken about this a lot of the time, of being able to bring show up as your whole self to places. And all it seemed was people were trying to just the twisting of your words was to shh, Jamelia, stop. And I just thought it when you watch YouTube and you've got all of them listed together, all I kept on seeing was thumbnails of you looking like this.
Yeah. Why were they chosen? Why were they chosen? Like,
and it was like, oh my gosh, like everybody else had an opinion, but it was this singular opinion that was always singled out and kind of vilified. And I was wondering for you, how does it sometimes feel, or how did it feel back then, not being able to bring your full self into places like Loose Women and into the mainstream media?
So unfortunately for me, I was one of the first to occupy that type of space, a prime time space alongside white women who are, you're supposed to be their counterparts. So because of that, there was a huge hill to climb. The things that I experienced were wild.
Wow.
But one of the things that I did do was I fought, and so every day there was a fight. It was able to fight to use my voice, fight to tell the truth, fight to have extra time to do my hair and makeup, because I was doing it myself and everybody else had hair and makeup artists, because the hair and makeup people didn't know how to do my hair or makeup. So I had to do it myself, but I'm supposed to get ready in the same amount of time as everyone else. My opinions, we can't say that because the lawyers don't think this is right. The reason I was no longer there was because the audience didn't like me, and I was just like wow, okay. But I was just like, of course they're not going to like me. This is Middle England, but it doesn't mean you should silence my voice. Do you know what I mean? But what I will say is, I don't sit here and look back and think, oh my gosh, I wish I was on Loose Women. I see. I don't watch Loose Women now, but I see Charlene White, I see Judy Love, I see Brenda Edwards, I see, I see beautiful Black women taking up space. And I feel, and I don't know if this makes me big-headed, but I feel like my fighting allowed that to happen. I feel like I contributed to them being there in their entirety, authentically. So for me, that's still a win. Do you know what I mean? I still 100%. Feel fantastic about that. Do you know what I mean? I see Charlene White and I see them in the makeup room and Pauline Briscoe's in there doing hair and makeup, and I'm like, yes, because that's all I asked for. That's all I wanted, and I didn't necessarily want it for me. That's what I think. I think we all have to be willing to do. Just remember that when you fight for things, it doesn't necessarily. You don't necessarily have to be the benefactor. It could be your children. It could be your colleagues. It could be, because one thing with me, and I don't know if this is the Jamaican in me or something. Like I'm always willing to lose my job. I'm always like, let me go. Like. As I said, like the simpler times are the most beautiful times for me. So I'm not out here dripping in Gucci and wanting to wear diamonds. The simplest things make me happy. And so for me, things like that, I feel successful. I feel like I've made an impact, and I hope that, and I don't need accolades. I don't need ratings. I don't need any of that. For me, I know what I did behind the scenes, and I know what's going on behind the scenes now, and it feels, it feels good.
Yeah,
it feels good.
100%. Round of applause to you, because there are some fights that go unseen, and it's only down the line you kind of realize them. And I think we're definitely living in a time where all the seeds that have been, placed in the past. They're just flourishing now. And I remember, the reason I remembered you from school was because you was a Black woman.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
She was a Black woman. She was a Black woman, and like a pin-up for so many people.
Yeah.
And it was like, but we hadn't really seen that before. And so there were certain doors that you were banging, knocking, kicking down. I was watching a 2004 interview of you, and we'll talk about this a bit later, but with what's his name? Desmond.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I know what you're talking about. I know who you're talking about. Yeah, Desmond Mel.
Desmond Mel, that's it.
Yeah.
And you walked on. Yeah, went way back. You walked onto the set like it was Hollywood. Like, yes. And it was just interesting to me, because it was like, that was a space that you occupied in greatness. But back then we wouldn't have realized it and seen it. But now it's flourishing. So we give you your flowers, and please take the flowers and take it to heart. Take those flowers to heart.
Thank you.
Now the flip side of that though is when you say one thing wrong, if you say one thing wrong, the whole world can feel like they're against you, on your phone, on TV, in newspapers, in magazines, through looks. And you've talked about before how that for some time that led you into a place of depression, having to take antidepressants. And I wondered for you, what was one of the baddest days for you in that period when all that stuff was happening? What was a bad day for you?
I think the worst day for me that I can think of, for me, it was like everything collided. So it was, my brother was sentenced to a very lengthy sentence in prison, and he'd been inside for a couple of months at that point, but for some reason they chose to put it on the front page on my daughter's 4th birthday.
On the day.
Yep, on my daughter's 4th birthday. And I remember just thinking like, wow. I don't know, it felt really evil, because these people know, they know these dates, they know, and I was just like, wow. And I remember literally just like packing up and leaving the country with her. But for me, it was like all things colliding, and like, people don't like me speaking positively about my brother, but he's my brother and I love him. And so I'm going through that. You know, I'm a single parent at the time, and I'm famous. And, you know, so I'm literally fleeing the country, not fleeing the country, but you know what I mean? I'm trying to get out of here, because, you know, it was just embarrassing. I think it was embarrassing. It was hurtful. The timing felt really evil. I can't explain it other than that. And I remember just thinking, like, at that point, so my daughter was 4, she's almost 21 now, but I remember at that point thinking, I can't do this. This is not what I signed up for.
Jeez.
You know, her being impacted in this way, me being impacted in this way. Obviously, I expected them to print the story at some point. I knew they knew. And it just that was definitely one of my worst days. But again, like even like with the rise of social media, I think there have been days where it felt just as kind of okay. So there have been a few times where I've, you know, said things that everyone on the panel has said, but I've said something and I become the villain. And sometimes I feel when it comes to Black British people in the public eye, give them a right grain of an opportunity to come and attack us, and they will run. They will, and it's happened a few times, and it's just like, you know, like they will use the opportunity to say racist things, and you know, you really see the worst of the people. And you know, and these could be the same people who, you know, oh, I'm unfollowing you now, so it means you're a fan, but you're not a fan because, you know, and I feel that the media really, they really use this kind of agenda, particularly when it comes to Black British people. Where it's that same thing of, you know, stay in your place, you know, don't get too loud, don't get too confident, don't get too comfortable, you know, and I feel as if you're constantly being given little reminders, don't get too big for your boots. And it's and for me it's really hard because especially, and you know, I'm not again, I might get shelled down for this, but I know I'm talented, and I know I'm way more talented than half of these other people that I'm sharing space with on these platforms, and yet I'm seen as the underdog just because I'm Black. But what people need to realize is I've had to do way more than you to even occupy this same seat as you. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not. That's no disrespect to anyone else who I've, you know, shared space with, but it's true. Yeah. It's true. I've had to, you know, be a #1 selling international star to be allowed to share space with, you know, with someone who hasn't done those things. You haven't done the great things that I have done, but yet I am your counterpart, and I'm the underdog, and I need to still in this position be careful, because whatever you say is still okay, whereas what I say it's a madness.
You've been through it. That's good. I'm glad you're getting off your chest, because
I think it's important to know that I've been through it. And so when I say through it, I definitely feel as if I'm out the other side. I do not entertain nonsense anymore. I'm only here for joy. I'm only here, whilst I'm very happy to tell my stories on platforms like this, you know, I'm not here for anything other than, you know, the empowerment of us, the, you know, betterment of us. And I don't know, I kind of feel like, I've been through it, but I'm here now, and I feel like I'm in a much better position, and a much better position for me as well. Like, I feel in control. I feel capable of anything that I desire, you know, which I didn't before. It was kind of, I was begging for a seat at the table. I really would, every time.
I love that. We make our tables around here, man.
Yep.
We make our tables. You've time. Wow, is that the time? Okay.
It's all right. We got time.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we can run over if you need to.
You've talked before about surviving domestic abuse.
Yeah.
Domestic violence. And there's always the rhetoric that comes with that of, why don't people just leave? And you were someone who experienced it and left.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, what is your thoughts on that rhetoric of why don't you just leave? Why is it that some people, what is it that is hard for some people to leave that type of experience?
I think especially in this day and age, I think people always need to think before they speak. Because, it's a valid question, but don't ask a person who has, suffered or been in a domestically abusive situation a question like that, because ask yourself the question, why don't they leave and look into it? There's so many opportunities to research that kind of thing. For me, I was young, I was naive, as I spoke about earlier. I was very vulnerable. This was like my first boyfriend. I got into that relationship when I was 16 years old, and had it not been for my daughter, I don't think I would have left.
Yeah.
And when I look back and when I speak about it now, 20 odd years on, I know that I was. It's going to sound a bit mad to say, but I feel like, mentally, I shouldn't have even been in a relationship. And there are so many reasons why women don't leave. You feel trapped, or you feel safe. You can feel safe in that environment, and it's the truth. And your truth is, staying there is better than being out there. A lot of the times, and what happened with me was, women are isolated, and this person can become your whole world, and nothing else is happening. And then you're just like, how do I even function? What am I supposed to do? Like, so me leaving, please don't think it was like one box and then I left. Like, no, I was being abused for years before that happened. But having my daughter was an additional reason, and it was kind of like, I do need to leave, because this can't be her reality. It was all right. I felt like I was choosing it for myself, but I can't choose this for another person. And so it was kind of like, I have to save her. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Deep. Money is a song that I love. Because when I saw the video, I was like, what are the black people doing? I was like, look what they're wearing. I was just like, I've never seen that in my life. We've never been depicted in that way. And it was just and
that's why.
It was just so captivating. You can just watch it and imagine us in that higher station. And besides that, the song is amazing. You got Beanie Man on it.
Thank you.
But before that, your songs came out, your album, and there was a quote that your mum said, which I think sums up your music career, which is she said, "How can you get on the bus? You're a superstar."
Yes.
She said, "How could you get on the bus?" And it's just that idea of you, though you soared so high, you still had your feet to the ground.
Yeah.
And I wondered for you, like, how was it dealing with fame? And what is the best way to kind of handle it? A lot of young black men, women are yesterday unknown, especially around the unknown, and they're just soaring tomorrow. And so for you, how did you deal with fame, and what would you say is a great way or tips on handling it at the moment?
So, for me, I've always had this need for grounding. Like I remember, like at the beginning of my career, I'd always go to like my nan's house, because I know she was going to tell me to go and wash off. And my nan just didn't have business, and I loved that, and I needed that. My granddad would just ask me, have you eaten? Like, it was, I craved the normality, because for me, I think also growing up in Birmingham, I didn't dream of becoming a singer. I didn't think it was a possibility. I didn't think I could. And even to this day, I still feel like, oh, they're still letting me in. Okay, I'll do this. Because And it's not imposter syndrome. I don't feel like, oh, I'm not meant to be there. I just kind of feel like I just feel like it's just like something amazing that's just extended for a mad amount of time. And yeah, and my mum, by the way, she still cusses me to this day. I don't catch the bus, but she'll cuss me for like going to Primark. She's like, what are you doing in Primark? And I'm like, it's clothes, isn't it? I like Primark.
I love it.
You know, because and for me, I feel like it's very important to never believe that you're, I don't know, like I'm not above anyone. Like, you know, I genuinely believe that there's an amazing book by an author called Malcolm Gladwell called Outliers. I don't know if you've read it, but you should. And it's basically about people who were born at the right time, then ending up in the right place. You know, there are many people who are like that now because they were, you know, maybe born 20 years ago. They're in the perfect age to kind of combine their talents with social media. And I was born at the right time, you know, 1981 was a mad year. Sorry, when I say that, like, I was born in 1981, so was Beyonce, so was Serena Williams. I'm not putting myself in their crew, but I'm just saying it was an incredible year to be born. And I kind of feel like, I was talking to my daughter about this earlier as well, like the 80s boom of women being career women and, you know, going for greatness in the 80s as women. My mom was one of those women. And as I've said, like, I had a front row seat to greatness as from a child. And I feel like, but I feel like there's still something, I always crave that kind of grounding, that simplicity. I always want to come back down to earth. You know, I do amazing things all the time. But then, I never get too far away from home. And as I said, home is, you know, the people that I love, the people who are honest with me. And my advice to younger people having that experience today is to, remain centered, really focus on your center. You know, and when I say that, like don't get caught up in it, because like money is a variable. Like, you know, as much as like, number one, like I don't buy designer clothes. I'm not like I'm not into all of that kind of thing. I like perfumes a little bit, but apart from that, I don't, you know, I'm not silly with my money, and I feel that's allowed me to kind of stay at a very comfortable, I live a nice life. And I'm very, very fortunate and very, very grateful for that. But at the same time, I don't get caught up in it. I know that I could lose it tomorrow. I don't know, you know, I mean, you know, look at things like the Ukraine, and I feel like, do I have a center? Do I have people that I love, people that I can focus on, people that love me? And I do. My children are my center. My husband is my center. And my purpose is my center as well. I'm really hell bent on being intentional and purposeful. You won't see me, like, I'm always lecturing my eldest daughter, like, don't post nonsense, like, post something for a reason. What is the reason for this post? What do you want people to know? What do you want people to see? What is it that you're trying to communicate about yourself? And, you know, sometimes I might think too deeply about it. Like yesterday, I posted a picture of, you know, because I changed my hair, but it was kind of like, for me, the thought behind it was, I want people to know that if you do something with your hair, you can change your hair. You know, as a Black woman, we change our hair and we're allowed to. And sometimes the things that I post are, you know, it's me giving permission, and I'm not being big-headed about that, but I know that I receive that when I see other people do similar things. Do you know what I mean? I feel like the Black female community online is one of the most beautiful spaces to occupy and to be a part of, but also to be a recipient of. You know, it's just I love to see it. That's probably my most commented comment is like, we love to see it. We love to see it.
I love that.
Yeah.
There was in your music career, there was a statement that was said that could have crippled you.
Oh.
And it's a statement that many people can hear different statements, and it's either going to empower them or it's going to cripple them.
Okay.
You heard this statement, and you said,
No, I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say.
and you overheard this person say, she's really talented, but she's way too dark.
Yeah.
Really talented woman, but she is way too dark. When you heard those words, there was a split second. You only have a split second to process this and put it in the left basket to cripple you your whole life, or the right basket to empower you. Tell me through that split second process what your mind was doing.
So I think this is a really important aspect that I need to speak about, especially as a parent, and if there are any parents on here. What they didn't know was that I was raised by Paulette Davis, and Paulette told me from day one that I was everything, dark. I had locks. I was raised as a Rasta. That's another thing you might not know about me, but I was raised as a Rasta, and we know ourselves. Like, I went to Saturday school, and so every Saturday I'm being fed, about great Black people, Africa, where I'm from, and as far as we can. Great historical figures. I was so empowered that nobody could take that away from me. So when I think he's a madman, because I'm just like, I'm too dark. Okay. Like, it didn't affect me, but I remember it being said. And for me, what I take, especially today as a parent, is you make sure it's your job to send your children out into this world with the most, as the most empowered. For me, don't send your children out into the world until you have made them whole, because this world, especially living in Western countries, they will make attempts at every angle to chip away at your children. So my children don't have social media before a certain age. I am the one who's going to tell them about themselves, tell them who they are, tell them about their history, tell them where they come from, tell them all the incredible things that they possess, and nobody is going to take that away from them, And so by the time they enter into their environments, these environments that are surrounded and built upon systemic racism, you can't chat to my kids, and you couldn't chat to me. I got thrown out of my history lessons, every single lesson, because every lesson there was something problematic, and I was just like, no, it doesn't go like that, because or what about the Black people? Because I knew. I knew a different side of history, and that's one of the things that I feel we're really missing in this country is, and I know we have some, but Pan-African Saturday schools, it was life-changing. We had a lot of environments that were for us, for our empowerment, and as I said, my job, I believe, is to send my children out into the world whole, and until I know they're whole, you're not getting them. Simple as.
You're not getting them. I love that.
Not at all.
You're not getting them. Oh gosh, I love that. It's funny, what? In asking that question, I was doing a lot of research on YouTube, and there's a documentary called "What Dark-Skinned People Will Never Tell You." And there was this woman. She said, "What did she say?" She said this quote that she believed when growing up that if I'm lighter, and she said this, it was her quote, if I'm lighter, I will have a better life. And I mentioned, remember seeing you as a Black woman. What is it now that you then tell your children in relation to their skin, especially because of the, if we look at the area of colorism and how light is seen as king, and what is it that you then tell them to counter that?
So honestly, I think I've raised my children to see people. I want them to. I had a meeting a couple of weeks ago with my eldest daughter's school, and they said, we don't see color. So obviously I had to sit them down. I was like, don't ever say that you don't see color. You need to see my children.
They said that to you.
They said that. clearly, it's a new head teacher and all sorts. But for me, it was, but it's very important. But again, I'm allowed to even be in that space with that teacher. She's going to give me the time. And again, it's a platform that I use. I make sure, because, I'm not just advocating for my daughter, it's every other black child that you've got in the school. But for me, I think, it's not just about, whilst in my home, it's a very pro-black home, we are, I am exalting my children at every opportunity. Every time I comb, my youngest daughter's hair, I tell her it's beautiful. I ensure that she sees me and I see her. And she also sees other black women, with hair like hers. And it's not just about hair. It's not just about looks. I also believe that it's important that they value and appreciate other people as well. We are, in the Western world, we are around and associating with so many different types of people. And I live in Birmingham. I was born and raised in Birmingham, which is one of the most multicultural cities in Europe. And so I've been raised on that, on seeing people and embracing other cultures and asking questions. And so for me, it's, I want to raise children that have respect for other people. Don't ask problematic questions. Don't be that problematic, don't be that problematic person. So whilst, yes, empowerment is a part of it, it's also about respect. It's also about tolerance. It's also about learning. I make sure that my children travel, and not just abroad, also around the UK. There's so much to learn, so many opportunities to learn. And especially with the internet now, it's just like, come on, you've got no excuse to raise a bigoted, racist child. Like, you've got no excuse. Yeah. Not at all. Not at all.
Preach. Well, is that the time? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. This has been fun. I've loved this. Lastly, then, I want to touch on motherhood, because there was an interview that you did with you and your children, your two daughters, and when your good daughter got a bit teary-eyed, and you were like, "What is it? What's wrong?" And one of her responses was, "You're such a good mum. You're such a good mum." And the way she said it was with such deep realization in that moment. The things that you were talking about. And in that same conversation, it came to light the pros and cons of your strength. The pros in them seeing a strong mother who, despite the odds, had overcome everything, and said to themselves that, I can do it too. But the cons were like, I don't need nobody else.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, no, that's not what I was trying to say.
So I wanted to just ask in general, I've got a daughter, I've got a 2-year-old, me and my wife, and what is it like raising daughters in this present time for you? What are the pros, what are the cons, what are the things that you worry about, what are the things that you look forward to?
So I've been a mother for half my life. And the lessons so I have a 21-year-old, a 16-year-old, and my youngest daughter is 4. And the lessons come thick and fast every single day. Like they are complete individuals, 3 totally different people. And for me, raising daughters has been an absolute honor, an absolute pleasure. I feel like having the opportunity, I genuinely feel like I'm having the opportunity of raising women, the women that you are going to know. I'm so excited for these women that I'm responsible for being a part of and contributing to and putting out into the world. One of the things that I've said before actually is that I don't see myself, I don't own these children. They are my children. They are of my womb, but I don't own them. I'm simply the gardener. I'm simply providing the right, conditions. I'm very, very conscious of the conditions that I have. I make sure that they're not hearing no nonsense. They're not surrounded by no nonsense. Anyone, anyone who knows me will tell you, like, I don't allow you to poison the conditions around my children. And I've always been very, very intentional about that. And I just want them to grow in their entirety. I don't have ideas about what they should be. I don't have ideas about who they should, end up with, the types of lives that they want to live. My 16-year-old said, Mommy, I don't think I'm going to have any children until I'm probably going to be about your age. And I was like, that's fine too. Like, that's fine. And then my eldest, she's like all like romantic and like, oh, I'm going to be married by the time I'm 23. And it's just like, but for me, I don't push my ideas and my ideals on my children. I want them to, I know what it feels like to be a Black woman, and I only feel like I'm flourishing now. And I want them to feel that now. I want my 4-year-old to feel like she is, freely growing in whatever direction she wants, but with my guidance, with my advice, with my help and support. And also my husband's as well. That's another thing as well. It's, especially after that conversation, I think that I didn't place enough importance on the role of the Black men. And again, it was another thing that I intentionally did, was to ensure that when it comes to their conditions, that they have wonderful Black men as well as examples, because I never saw it as important, which sounds really, really against everything that I feel now. But I didn't, because I was raised by a strong man, strong woman. My family's full of strong women, and then I'm a strong woman. I'm a single parent. But I never wanted to pass on the message that I don't need no man and I don't want no man, and men are, I don't subscribe to the, men are trash rhetoric or anything like that. Listen, anyone who knows me, I don't say nothing bad about Black women, and I don't say nothing bad about Black men. Even if I think something behind the scenes, you are not going to hear me say it on a public platform. I've done it once in my life, and it's definitely one of my biggest regrets. But never. Yeah, never. That's something, and it's something that I teach my daughters as well. Like, don't ever, you can disagree with people behind the scenes, but keep it in the group chat, but don't bash any.
Yeah, I saw that video, and I was like, huh? Jamelia.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Terrible. Give me a practical life example where you saw something and it really, with your children, and it really made you proud as a mother.
I see something every day. Sorry, I'm not going to answer this question in a helpful way. I see something every day. I truly do. And as I said, I consciously parent my children. Consciously, I'm, very conscious of my impact. I'm conscious of my words. I'm conscious of, so when I hear them speak in a way that is authentic to them, not authentic to me, not aligning with my ideas and ideals, that's what nice. When I see them presenting as their whole selves, to me, that's when I feel pride, because I feel like, yes, you're doing, and I'm not perfect. I haven't always been this person. As I said, I've been a parent for half my life. I've evolved as a parent, and I'm quite sure I'm a better parent to my 4-year-old than I was to my 20-year-old. That being said, my 20-year-old is pretty amazing, and I feel, I'm proud. I'm really, really proud, and for me, I feel like don't push your narratives onto your children. Let them be. The one thing about Black people, we're always put in these boxes, and you can't be a part of that. You can't be a part of that. Be a gardener. Make sure the conditions are right for your children to fulfill their potential and grow into whatever beautiful flower they're supposed to grow into.
Yeah, I did an interview with Jamelia, and he said exactly the same thing. I said, what do you want your daughter to be? What? And he said, I don't have any expectations of her. Like, I just want her to be who she is. Exactly. And I think I didn't hear that. Didn't really hear that before. And so when he said it, I was like, huh? But then, when you think through it, it's like because
Yeah.
we've been prescribed so many different labels, whether it's through culture, whether it's through, different disciplines. But how about a child being them?
Yes.
What would that look like?
Yeah.
And I think people are afraid.
Yeah. And let me tell you this as well. Like, my girls have previously gone to, private school, and they've only been to private schools, to be honest. And these white girls who go to private school are free as birds, and they get to become great things because they've had this freedom, they've had these experiences, they've, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying my kids are just Lego, like they can do everything. I'm quite strict as a parent, but when it comes to them presenting as their authentic selves, like I'm very, very conscious of guiding them, and so it's not you can go and do anything and be anything, and it's not that, but it is about freedom. I think ultimately we should be fighting for freedom for ourselves, for our children, for our communities, and these kind of things. I feel like, when other Black children encounter my children, again, I hope that they serve to be that permission as well. Do you know what I mean?
That permission.
Yeah.
That permission. And you know what? I think your career and life in different ways, and I've mentioned this before, but there's been different permissions given. So someone seeing you on Loose Women, for example, it's a permission pass. Have that.
Yeah.
Take that.
Yeah.
That post you posted just yesterday with your hair.
Yeah.
But speaking of that the intention, it gives someone who was thinking, that permission, and now your children are becoming extensions of that permission. So we again take your flowers, eat them, and let them touch your heart. let it touch your heart. Last question of the night, and I really thank you for your time. Jamal Edwards passed recently, and for a lot of people, they had stories. So many stories came forth, and I've spoken like this before in another interview. So many stories came forth of the type of life that he lived, and in turn, the legacy he left in people's hearts. And I always think about this thing. Someone asks me, what do you want your legacy to be? And I don't think we're ever in control of our legacy, because legacy is just, we're just left with the experiences that we've had in people's lives. And they take that as, that's what they
Absolutely. Absolutely.
For you, you're not fully in control of that legacy, but what would you like to be left in people's hearts, in the interactions that they've had with you, in the connections that they've had with you?
Honestly, I think I just want people to take away the fact that, my love was intentional. You know what I mean? Like the things that I did for my children, for my community, for, anyone who had resonated with anything that I've ever done. I kind of feel like that's the, it's I'm not saying I want to be remembered like Jamal, but the first thing that came to mind was Jamal was such a beautiful guy, like such a nice guy. And so for me, ahead of all the incredible things that Jamal did, like, I'd much rather be remembered for being so, just like a good guy, nice guy. I'd much rather be remembered for being, I tried to be kind, I tried to be good, I tried to be impactful, and I tried to be helpful. And I think I'd like those qualities to be the things that were remembered, not, I was on the stage, or that's not how I want to go down. I don't even think I want to go down in history. I'd rather be in people's hearts. Yeah.
Don't want to go down in history. I'd rather be in people's hearts.
Yeah.
Jamelia, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I loved this. I really, really loved it.
Oh, thank you for your time, man. And like I said, there's a scripture in the Bible. It says, do not think of yourself more than you ought to.
Yeah.
So there's a level that everybody should think of themselves. And you spoke about that. There's a level where you're like, I'm good at that. I'm amazing
Yeah.
at that. And I think in school, in culture, sometimes just in general life, that is beaten out of us. And we're
Yeah.
told, don't get too gassed, don't get,
Yeah.
but
No, get gas. Get gas.
exactly. I want you to, from the people that have joined us, from the comments that have been left, I want you to, you're alive. So smell your flowers, eat them, and let them let them touch your heart and be close to your heart.
Bless
You know.
you.
And when we're going to post this and it's going to go up again,
Yeah.
listen to yourself, man, and
Okay.
listen to yourself and listen to the woman that you've become, because it's great, it's amazing, and it's great for
Thank
us to
you.
be able to see from year 8 in a in a school hall, to be a father now, and to hear these gems and wisdoms and be like, okay, you know what? Let me apply this. Let me apply that. So,
Bless you.
thank you for your time. Thank you for your
Yeah.
words. Thank you for your example, and thank you for the
Bless
fights that you've been fighting that we didn't even know. But do you know what I'm saying? Just giving us a platform to do so many amazing things. So we salute you, man. We salute you.
Thank you. Well, can I say thank you also? Thank you for providing this platform, for providing this safe space, and for having me. It's an honor, genuinely. It really is. You've had some incredible people. Again, I was just like, me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you.
But yeah, thank you so much for having me, and I wish you every success.
No problem. Let's keep in touch, and
Yes,
you've definitely got to come to the next show.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks
Take care.
for joining, guys.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. I know it's run over 10:20, but it's been a beautiful conversation. If you want to watch this because you didn't watch it from the beginning, you only watched it halfway through, immediately if we finish, it's going to be on the front of the page and you can watch it back. So share it. If there's things that you heard that could benefit someone, send it to them, because we're not doing this for no reason. We're doing it so that people's, you know what I'm saying, people's stories can be told and people can find wherever they can to connect with what is said. So thank you for watching. We're going to be back next Thursday, 9 p.m, 21 questions. But until then, take care. Make sure you follow the Sitdown UK. Make sure you follow Jamelia. Let us know how today was. DM us, and let us know. All right? Take care. I've been IC. This is the Sit Down, and we out. Peace.